Hello and konnichiwa minasan. I welcome you all to our third session of IJBC-IJL Special Lecture Series started from February 2022, which will last till December 2022. This year, we are celebrating 70th anniversary of diplomatic relationship between India and Japan. Konnichiwa minasan. To celebrate this momentous year, IJBC is organizing lecture series by veteran speakers, panel discussion about India-Japan views, challenges, fireside chat with Shefali, where we will be able to listen inspiring interviews, and of course, the most awaited event is Konnichiwa Pune 2022. Sponsored by Embassy of Japan, Delhi, Consulate General of Japan in Mumbai, Government of India, India-Japan Laboratories, KU University, also sponsored by tutorbharat.com, Interjust India, Daiichi Japanese Language Solution Nagpur, Fujitsu Consulting India, Japan Center of Excellence Guwahati, Spokesman. We hope to work together to forge a vibrant India-Japan relationship for future generations. For more details, to watch our prior videos, please do visit our website www.ijbc.org. I request you all to please keep your mics off. Thank you. So, while India is today emerging as a global hub for manufacturing and innovation and promoting ease of business with the flagship programs like Digital India, Smart City, and Startup India, the Society 5.0 initiative of Japan is further providing an extensive scope of collaboration in different sectors. Taking account of these various stakeholders, group involved like business associations, trade bodies, government, and startups, this session will explore promoting avenues of business and innovation which can significantly complement the expanding bilateral trade relationship between India and Japan. I would like to introduce our today's guest, Mr. Kazuya Nakajo, Executive Vice President of Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO. Mr. Kazuya Nakajo was appointed Executive Vice President of Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, in August 2019. Previously, he served as the Chief Director General of JETRO, New Delhi, 2016 to 2019. Mr. Nakajo joined JETRO in 1988 after graduating KU University Faculty of Literatures with the bachelor degree in Asian History. He has rich experience in foreign direct investment, promotion, cooperation, and administration. His previous overseas postings were JETRO offices in Narraburi, 1992-1995, and Chicago, 2004-2009. Mr. Nakajo, どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Thank you for kind introduction. As introduced, I'm Nakajo, Kazuya Nakajo from JETRO. First of all, thank you very much, and I'm really privileged to be invited to this great forum, India-Japan at 70s. As introduced, I'm the one of the alumni from KU University, so I'm really honored and happy I could contribute a bit to my graduated university. So let me share my document with you. I'm not really accustomed to this, so allow me for a few seconds. Can you see the document?
Yes.
I'm sharing. Okay.
Is visible.
Right. So today I'm going to talk about the trend and movement of Japanese companies operating in India, and there are two aspects I'd like to share, which is the one is the FDI trend, Japanese FDI trend to India. And second is the the prospect of the Japan-India digital partnership. Indeed, JETRO has been taking a lead into this business arenas for creating Japan-India a closer partnership for years. So let me start with the Japanese investment toward India. First of all, this is the overall trend. This chart shows, and this is the chart which was based by this data from the Indian Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And this amount is the real amount of Japanese investment. And this share shows the Japanese FDI's share out of total investment recipient volume of Indian as a nation. We can see some irregular figure in 2016, but this was this is due to the NTT's investment made to Tata Telecommunications, but this alliance has already been cancelled. So this is an irregular figure, but I could say the amount is kind of very kind of stably exist, and I'm foreseeing more investment may be done since there will be we are observing that there are more kind of strategic area project is going on, such as Nippon Steel's acquisition of SL Steel, which was agreed on in 2019, and also we are learning that there are several investment project is going on in the green and the digital field, such as renewables and digital what should I say? New age digital project like 5G and such. And next slide is the showing the number of Japanese companies in India. So it came to this most recent figure is the year of 2020, and it looks like the increment speed is going kind of slowing down. But this 2020 figure is reflecting influence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was affected the global economy from 2020. And there are several projects or investment projects executed in this year as well, but there are also withdrawn case were seen in these 2 years, 2020, 2021. So this withdrawn case reflect a bit in this figure. So if there's no pandemic, I could say the number has been steadily increasing. And this COVID is almost over, I could say. I am foreseeing more and more Japanese company will operate in India. And next sheet is showing the distribution of Japanese companies by state. The biggest number is seen in state of Haryana, and followed by Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Delhi. This reflect, as you could see, a this accumulation of Japanese businesses, you could see, backed by the existence of automakers. So we have Honda and Maruti Suzuki in Delhi and Haryana, and there's Nissan in Tamil Nadu and Toyota in Karnataka. So these automakers somehow lead to Japanese investment into India. Historically, these Japanese business accumulation was started in North and West. So North, you could see the Maruti started the operation in 1980s. And historically, Mumbai is the center of finance and commerce, and which these two cities are the kind of a Japanese center of Japanese businesses. But gradually, this was scattered into the southern state. As I said, the event of Nissan and Toyota deploy into India reflect a bit, but we could also see some other industry are now stepping their foot in this country, and this was shown in this is the figure of Japanese resident by city in India. So you could see Delhi has got almost 5,000 residents, and it is said that there are around 10,000 Japanese residents in India. I mean, expat in India. So Delhi kind of hosting almost half of Japanese residents, and followed by Bengaluru and Chennai and Mumbai. So this is the distribution of Japanese companies by industry. Manufacturing, the share is 49%, but when you say others, I could say many of the other sectors also somehow relating to auto industry. When I say the service industry, they are finance company, but there are some finance company which is running a security. No, not security. Which is running a finance targeted to Japanese automakers. So still automotive is dominant in Japanese businesses in India. We are now seeing retail and restaurant. The number of retail and restaurant business, it has been increasing in India, and also some other areas like energy and such are also increasing. We are also foreseeing there are more and more investment project is generating in a strategic field. As I said, there was a big investment were made by Nippon Steel, who acquires SR Steel with $7 billion amount. And bigger capital investment are to be expected in the field like green, renewables, and digital. So this formulation of investment will be changed in the next decade. So in conclusion, there was demand-led investment were mainly in the automotive sector. The car assemblers requires their kind of subsidies. They are supporting companies to invest in with them. So these corporations and these large car assemblers were coming to India, but now this trend now changing. There are many other industrial field, also the service and retails and finance is considering to set their station in this country. So this is the as I said, the car assembling makers share in the in India. So this is a very particularly showing that almost 60-70% of Indian car market is shared by the Japanese or Japanese related manufacturers represented by Maruti Suzuki. Now I changed some topic to Japanese view toward the investment environment of India. So this is very particular figure. When I say that this is showing the pros and cons, but in looking at the prospect, most 89% is of the Japanese companies is saying the prospect of they are looking at the prospect of India's market growth. And the other figures in the other nations, this number two below are more in bigger figure. But in India, this market scale only is proceeding 60, 70, 80%, but the other aspects are relatively low. So this is the Japanese company's view. So they are now looking very they are regarding India as a very fast growing market. That's the reason why they are existing in India. And when you say concern side, this number one is a tax system, and number three is also administration procedures. But when you see number four under number four, below number four, there's also a concern indicated in infrastructure. So number four is power infrastructure, but there's also communications and road and transport logistics. So I could say there are two big concerns, which is the administration side, and the other is infra. So these two could be improved by the effort of the government of India and also the state government. So we are really expecting their kind of work done to sort out all these kind of concerned items. And this is another figure which is interesting. This result of our survey done in the Asian Pacific nations. So India is showing the top figure, the number of the companies who answered with they are going to expand in within a few years. So this is showing that the many of Japanese companies is now preparing their project to expand their business in India. As I said, there's some influence made by this COVID-19 infection, but this trend will be accelerated from now on. This is the figure of profit and losses. So this is a number of companies. The blue bar is showing that the number of ratio of companies who is making a black ink, and green is showing the companies with red ink. So India is in middle to bottom position amongst the Asian Pacific region. But this is very interesting. This 61.5% was only 32.2% in previous year. So it was 31.2% in 2019, and it was suddenly increased almost to double to 61.5%. And the green part, this showing a 60.1% was 50%, almost 51% in 2019. So this sudden changes is very interesting, and we have to analyze in detail. But I could say that in the right-hand figure, the companies who has been in India over 10 years making a big profit. So over 70% is making a black ink, and those who recently came are showing more number in red ink. So this says that India is a country, and also ASEAN the same trend, but India is a country, the longer they operate, the bigger they could make profit. So we need to be more patient with this business environment, and also the Japanese companies are making a lot of effort to make this deficit smaller and smaller by using more and more local contents or doing a lot of effort to generate profit. India is basically a low profit country because of the low cost economy. But with even with that, Japanese company trying their hard to make themselves be a red ink, black ink company. And now the next chart is, this is also a very interesting figure. So this is the showing export ratio or in their sales. And this is also a comparison figure amongst the Asian Pacific nations. So India is the only 17.8% export ratio indicated, which means Japanese companies are still working within the nations and not really exporting to the other nations. The with the macroeconomic economic thesis, export is one of the driver of the country's economic growth, and Japanese companies do have its kind of a capacity to export their product to the third nations as to the third nations, but they are still limited in under 20%. And Japanese companies are doing the same. I mean, exporting to the third countries, as you can see in these countries like Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, and Bangladesh. If Japanese company started to export to their product in India to the third country, it will be a big driver for Indian economic growth. And we are now trying to motivate Japanese company be as production base for say global or to the more Western nations from the view of Japan. So if India could be an export base for the nations like Middle East, Africa, and Europe, it will also benefit to Japanese companies and also Indian economies. In fact, Maruti Suzuki has set their new production site in Ghana, Africa, quite recently. But it's CKD factory. CKD means a completely knockdown kit. So the other parts are semi-assembled in India, and they are exporting to Ghana, and they are just assembled. So as this fact indicates that India could be export base of Japanese companies, and we are really expecting that. So now I change to the topic, to the IT prospect or digital prospect of India. I'm skipping this as most of you knows that India is generating biggest number of unicorns in the world. And so this startup arena, India is also very booming now. So it is said that this startup ecosystem consisted by three aspects. One is human talent, and second is the social challenge or social demand, and third is the rich capital inflow. And first two conditions, human capital and also social demand, is abundant in India, as you could observe. And now more and more capital inflow are made from US and European investors. And now Japanese investors are now following these, and they are putting more money into the India's startup arena. So this is the showcase of the Japanese companies making effort to make use of Indian startups or Indian startup ecosystems. The Rakuten and Maruti Suzuki is conducting a acceleration program, and Panasonic and Sojitz recently create a bigger research and development offices capacity in Bengaluru and the other cities. And and AIST is a Japanese national laboratory of the industrial technology, and with the other private players, they conducted agreement with IIT Hyderabad on joint research. NEC and Torre is working together with IIT Bombay and try to create a new technology applicable to the Indian social challenges. Actually, Torre is now working to create a water purification system, and they try to exercise their project in Ganga River, so that there could be a big driver to clean up the Ganga River. Quite recently, I learned that NTT signed a MOU with IIT Guwahati, and also Denso, the Japanese top first-tier automotive company, also made a partnership with IIT Hyderabad. So this trend is now being generated, and I could foresee one more Japanese company will work with the not only the startup companies, but also the IITs and some academic players of India. So this is the chronicle description of the Japanese company's establishment of R&D facilities in India. It was started by Panasonic in 2011, and Hitachi follows. But these cases are not really a big one, like 1,000 to 2,000 sheet of system engineers and operators and researchers. And now I didn't put down, but actually in 2016 or 17, NTT, Nihon Telecom and Telegram, acquires Indian company, and they first created a very big innovation center in Hyderabad, which was the first case that Japanese company do kind of bigger project in this R&D site. And this trend is now followed by the other players like NSC and Sony and Fujitsu, as I described. And Rakuten is also now establishing a new facility in Bengaluru. So, at the very last, I'm going to describe our activities in India. So we are working in 3 pillars. So one is support for entry into India. This is our support program for the in the FDI arena. So we are doing a lot of activities for helping Japanese companies to step in, set facility in India. Also, we are supporting Japanese companies to make their activities smooth by correcting their opinions and concerns and deliver it to the Indian government, state government. In the second arena, I'm going to describe is our startup activities. We now created Global Acceleration Hub, which is placed in our Bengaluru office, and also now our Mumbai office and Delhi office is doing almost the same setup. So where we are create a collaboration with these Indian players and try to be a window organization to connect the Japanese startup and companies and these Indian startup ecosystem players. There are many Japanese companies now making inquiry to JETRO, searching for new tech and new companies in global startup arenas. And there are quite a bit inquiries delivered to our Indian office. And with this collaboration with these players, we are successfully introducing these excellent Indian startups to Japanese corporate. And also Japanese startups now are heading to India with the aim to sort out Indian social challenges by their technologies, and where we are also working to connect them to these Indian ecosystems. Most recently, we created one digital platform to connect Japanese corporate to foreign startups, which is named JBridge. So this is the digital system or platform where the Japanese corporate could do the something like hackathons or presentations and presentation pitches, and also the foreign, including India, startups could access to Japanese corporate. And we ran it almost for a year, and we could successfully generate over 600 Japanese corporate, which is aiming to match up with foreign technology companies. So this could be a good use for Indian technology company to access to Japanese businesses or export their technology to Japan or the rest of the world. with the capacity of Japanese corporate. So the third pillar is the collaboration with third countries. As I said, India could be a big business hub or manufacturing hub for Japanese corporate. So we are trying to connect Japanese companies in India to the other market, like in Africa or like in Bangladesh or the other areas. So we are seeing a big prospect on this side. And also Japanese companies are following this trend and start doing their challenges to go for the other market. I'm showing another example is that Daikin, the air conditioning company, set a subsidiary in Kenya under their operations of India. And they are trying to export their product from India to African nations. And for that, they shifted their some function of their mother factory from Thailand to their factory in Nimrana, Rajasthan. And with their big facility of training, they are now training African personnel in India and also developing a new product to match to the African nations in India. All right, so this our offices at the very last. We have 5 offices in India. The headquartered by New Delhi, but we are also having Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Chennai office. So with our capacity, we are trying to connect India to Japan with these 3 pillars I described. So that end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nakajo, for your informative session. The figures you have stated are really interesting, and let's hope the number of Japanese companies will start investing in India and in near future. So now I would like to introduce our second guest, Mr. Abhishek Chowdhury, Director of Nanobees India Private Limited, Director Co-Create Consulting Private Limited, also Vice President of Indo-Japan Business Council for Industrial Relations. Mr. Chowdhury is a co-founder of a 10-year-old international IP service firm. He manages an international team of experts such as patent drafters, market researchers, and staff. Mr. Abhishek brings an international client perspective to develop the value proposition from each corporate query. By using disciplined methodologies, multi-source information sources, and industry experts, he helps develop practical, actionable opportunities. Mr. Abhishek is a serial entrepreneur who helped build 2 services companies in the areas of intellectual property management, technology-driven business consulting. He also worked for 15 years on various aspects of IP and technology commercialization and was instrumental in facilitating multiple outside India companies find the right business partners and opportunities to explore in India. He works with the various corporate as well as business associations, trades bodies in India and outside of India. He keeps advertising startups and research technology associations on various business aspects of IP. Mr. Abhishek was also engaged in multiple technology, IP, and market due to diligence exercises for venture capitals corporate where the investment stakes are ranging from $10 million to $100 million. Abhishek takes care of material science domain and worked on numerous projects related to nanomaterials and nanotechnology, oil exploration, refining, petrochemicals, catalyst, specialty in polymers, conducting and biodegradable polymers, polymer composites, paints, contains and 3D printing materials for 5G, solar energy and biofuel. Mr. Mr. Abhishek, please start with the presentation.
Thank you, Dhanashree-san. Thanks for giving such a long and nice introduction. So before I start my presentation, first of all, thank you very much, Nakajo-san. It was a really informative session and a lot of things are happening. So I think some of the things that I have prepared, I'll probably we both will probably have the same message to go along. But let me just share my screen first and then I'll come back to discuss. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Just give me a second. Okay, so just to give you a background for everyone, that when we started discussing about this IJBC-IJL lecture series, and on the third one, when it's been said that why not you come up and say something, it was a little difficult for me because majority of the things, I know that I'll be able to tell. Kazuya-san is anyway going to cover with a lot of statistics, data, and everything. So then after pondering for some time, I thought of, let's give a glimpse of those statistics. And as I come from more on the innovation management side, let me share some of the innovation indicators, which is probably patent statistics, and also see what are the newer areas. I mean, a lot of things are already happening between India and Japan for long. It probably started with chemicals trading, and now almost investment is there in all the different areas. But what are those innovation nuggets or innovation areas which are high-end and which will be able to redefine the whole world? Why not pick up some of those and share what could be those? So as you can see from this particular slide deck, let me just minimize this. Okay. What I have tried to do, I have tried to give you a glimpse about the strong, robust, resilient startup ecosystem that we have now. Then telling you something about Japanese funding in these early stage companies. And why this startup ecosystem? What is inherent with us as Indian, and what is happening in last few years that so many startups, so many technology intensive startups are there now, and the Japanese investment agencies are also willing to invest. That will be followed by a quick glimpse of patenting activity. Patent is an indicator of level of innovation. We consider this as a level of innovation indicator. So let's quickly have a look at this indicator, as well as see, what are the impact in patenting from Japanese companies in India. And all this will finally summarize to say 10 areas of next level collaboration, where both Indian and Japanese companies can work together. And it's not necessarily that only large companies can collaborate. There could be smaller ones, smaller collaborations also. Let me now quickly take you through some of the interesting statistics of the startup ecosystem. The Indian startup ecosystem is growing exponentially. It's a known fact. And also, Nakajo-san just mentioned a little while back. But if you see in terms of statistics, we are now the third largest startup ecosystem provider in the world, and which is really a big deal. We have now 100 unicorns. Till 5th May 2020, there are 100 unicorns. How many unicorns were there 10 years back? Hardly anyone. And now we have 100 within first 5 months of 2022. If we look at the total valuation of these unicorns, it's 332, close to 333 billion, which is close to GDP of probably many countries. So this is definitely an exponential growth, and also it will keep continuing. Now, why it will keep continuing? What has really changed in last few years? So if you see, in 2016, Government of India launches this Startup India scheme. So let me give you a quick background. Probably some Japanese people might also be listening to this presentation from Japan, or will probably have a chance to go through this presentation at a later stage, because it is YouTube live and it will be there. You know, when I started my enterprise 10 years back, starting a new enterprise on your own was not considered as a really great deal of effort. If you got a good job with top corporates or government agencies, absolutely great. If not government agencies, you should be hired by Reliance, Bajaj, Honda, and all these biggies. Then you have a social security. But now if you see, Government of India is very well now understood the fact that you cannot be world superpower until and unless your startup ecosystem is strong. You are coming up with a lot of interesting technologies, coming up with innovation, trying to conquer the world in a business way. Nothing can happen. We can never become a superpower, and definitely we have an aspiration to become a superpower. And then, considering all these things, when this Startup India scheme was launched, suddenly the overall thought process of people, overall ecosystem of the things actually changed. Overall social ecosystem, social acceptability to the startups actually changed. And in last 7 years, or maybe 6.5 years, if you see, we have 70,000 startups which were recognized by Startup India program. And these startups are in all the sectors. It's not that it is in one sector, two sector. There are startups in IT sector. You can see the statistics are just in front of you. So you have startups in healthcare domain, education, agriculture, food and beverages, and then definitely unclassified. So many small 1-2%, you can't really classify everything. But to sum up, the important thing is that there is definitely a shift in social value system and acceptance towards startups, both in terms of startups' ability to generate money and wealth for themselves, their families, the whole society. And that is one of the biggest achievers probably from this startup movement of India. Now it's time to look at, so 2016, if we look at 2016 to 2019, it was an entirely different world. And then something happened which is known as COVID, and everybody started talking about post-COVID. What is going to happen in post-COVID scenario? Everything is almost devastated. First few days of, or first few months of COVID, full of uncertainty. Many startups were just completely run down. We don't have any visibility. But one thing which kept all of us alive across the globe is probably the hope. And hope is really a powerful, feeling. I'd say that hope is a very powerful feeling which keep all of us alive every day. And if you see the growth, post-COVID growth of Indian startup, it's tremendous. So we have quoted in this presentation, we have quoted one report which is created by NASSCOM and Zinnov. Zinnov is a Bangalore-based consulting company. So they clearly said that Indian startup ecosystem saw a double digit, or the rate of cumulative valuation that was there between 21 to 22. It actually doubled compared to pre-COVID time. And according to this study of Indian tech startup ecosystem, or Years of Titan, more than 2,250 startups were added into 2021 alone, which is 600 more compared to 2020. So if you see, in terms of, it is almost close to 30% more compared to pre-COVID, or maybe 2020 is anyway, nothing much happened. But at least 2020 and 2021, if we see, the transition is really huge. Very interesting, statistics given by this particular FANO report. And it says, if you see, it says Indian startup space saw 4 deals on an average, attracting 115 million every day in the first month of year 2022 itself. So you've seen that there is a huge growth from 2021, but 2022, it's also following. Now let us also look at what are the various segments and how it is changing as far as post-COVID is concerned. So you see a lot of tech. We call this as tech, and it's sometimes really hard for me to explain this, because these days when we go and talk to someone and say technology is normally is a synonymous word to information technology or computing technology and others. So considering that, we have started saying that, okay, fine, if technology is these things, then regular physics, chemistry, and other things are basically science and engineering. So now, if we see the technology companies and the total funding that went into technology companies pre-COVID and post-COVID, fintech, edtech, e-commerce, media entertainment, take each and every segment. You have gaming industry, each and every segment, it's increased almost multiple folds. And also, very interesting thing is that, if you see this 53% of the investment or the funding that is going is actually on a growth phase. There are different phases of investment. You have early stage investment, you have growth phase investment, you have late stage investment, and then you take an exit to the IPO where you go to the public and start trading on a stock exchange. So a lot of these investments are not only going to early stage. So maybe 7% is early stage, and if you see 53% on growth and 36% of these investments are actually going to late stage, which also tells us a story that a lot of these startups that we are talking about, they are sustainable in terms of getting reasonable funding and also come up with good quality business. Because if you are unable to showcase a reasonable amount of business being done, you are not going to get the next level of funding. So you have to do well to get the next level of funding. And this is a really encouraging story where close to 90% of these fundings are going to growth and late stage companies. And then these companies, there could be a day where these companies will be known as these Indian startups, which are startups these days. Maybe 10 years down the line, they will be considered as Indian multinationals. And by the way, I was at one of my clients' space, which is a big multinational company. And when I was talking to the MD of that particular company, she clearly mentioned that these days Indian corporates, reasonably good corporates, our aim is to be multinational. That's the aspiration. Why there has to be a lot of other multinationals? Why not we be the multinationals? Now comes, now we see that, okay, fine, India is a wonderful, India has a wonderful startup ecosystem. A lot of fundings are happening. Post-COVID, this funding went up, and we are going to be the world leader in some time. Let's look at how Japanese investors are looking at this. So if you look at the Japanese investment, if you see Japanese investment into Indian IT between 2016 to 2021 has reached to 9.2 billion. It's a huge amount, and definitely this is led by SoftBank. SoftBank is one of the early investors. SoftBank is one of the early investors to Indian startup community, and they have definitely have close to now 9 billion or 10 million investments being done. If it is 2016 to 2021, 9 million, I assume that by today, this is probably 10 million plus. Just one question to the organizers. Am I audible? Because I can see some.
Yes, you're audible.
Fine. Thank you. So I don't know why this is saying. Okay. So also, I mean, we have quoted here this particular report, which NESCOM again in partnership with Nomura Research Institute. Nomura Research Institute is a Japanese consulting company, and with them they have published this particular report, and we have quoted all the statistics from there. So according to the same report, it says that Japanese investments in India have grown over 4 times since 2016 to 2021, and helped in creating over 100,000 jobs, and which they are expecting will double by next couple of years. So another interesting thing is that if you look at the overall job generation scenario, there are large companies, definitely large corporates who does a lot, but startup and small and medium scale enterprises are in almost all the countries across the globe are the largest, taker of human resource. And according to the same research report, startups in fintech, healthcare, and mobility sector were the prime investment takers from Japanese investors. Now, who are those Japanese investors? As I already said, SoftBank is the early one, but you see there are others also entering. You have now Benos, Deep Bright, Digital Garage, and Geomo, who are the other Japanese investors investing into India. So this is really good sign for us. This is really good sign for this particular forum, who is continuously pushing for more and more collaboration, more and more exchanges between India and Japan. If we see a lot of investors coming to India and investing in India startup, this is actually a very good deal for us. Now, as SoftBank is the main one who is investing, we try to see, what are how much investments they have done so far, and who are probably the top players. So if you see, there are a lot of interesting ones. Majority is anyway. I mean, we have some edtech, but majority is the e-commerce space. So edtech, e-commerce, fintech, these are the places. Areas which are already tried and tested, and large investment firms, the venture capitals, banks, investment banks, they are definitely investing in all these things. So this is what is existing. I'll come to my last slide where I will probably try to push that. Okay, there are other areas also which we will say new age or emerging areas where Japanese investors can also look at investing in those startups. So now this is the overall startup scenario that we have. We have a wonderful startup ecosystem, which has variety of companies there. And then we also are now attracting the post-COVID arena, we are attracting a lot of Japanese investments. So that's definitely a good deal for us. Now let us quickly look at human capital, because this human capital is always being talked about, and this is really important as far as innovation component is concerned. You definitely need high quality manpower, technologically sound people. And to produce, technologically sound people, if I say 130 billion people here, how do we ensure that these people are world class? So we have a lot of these institutes: Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Indian Institute of Technology, National Institute of Technology, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Indian Institute of Management, to create high quality engineers, high quality medical professionals, high quality management professionals. Now this is just a glimpse. This is just a glimpse of the top organizations which are producing high quality manpower. You have n number of good quality universities, you have n number of research labs. So as far as educational ecosystem for the higher education or research is concerned, India has no dearth in it. You have really good amount of people or manpower to help everyone out. Also, a very interesting thing with Indians are specifically the frugal mindset. We are, it has its pros and cons, but at least for now, I'll be sticking to the advantage of it. So, using our frugal mindset, we are normally tuned to, crack any problem. So, problem solving sometimes is not necessarily a methodology for us. We need to go through a methodology. It's pretty much by default. When we see a problem, many times we can just come up with a solution. Now, with Japanese efficiency, with Japanese methodical approach, if we tie this by default flexible mindset with some level of discipline, we'll probably be able to create a lot of sustainable products, and we'll probably be able to, cater to many more social innovation kind of products. And as far as social innovation is concerned, there is a huge area of collaboration, and as Nakajo-san already mentioned, that there are a lot of efforts going on. One of the efforts that I know is JICA's Sunagaru Lab, where they are promoting these collaborations in the area of social innovation, both for Japanese startups or small companies. And they have a platform where Japanese companies, Indian companies come, pitch, tell about their inventions, tell about their companies, and then Indian companies, Indian large multinationals can probably invest in them. Japanese multinationals can come and invest in them. So interestingly, mind and mindset. So we have ability to acquire good quality of technological knowledge. We have a by default mindset. So collaborating with the specific features of these things with Japanese technology providers, we will probably be able to create many interesting things. And also, this shows the ability of Indian startup ecosystem to grow further and become a sustainable force of creating high quality manpower and multinational ventures in the future. Now quickly comes, you have good quality manpower to do innovation, you have good startups, but this is a knowledge economy. And in knowledge economy, you cannot survive without having good quality intellectual property. And probably intellectual property is basically providing you some kind of rights where your innovations can be protected. So patent is one of the form of intellectual property where government gives you a right to protect your innovation. And any country, any company from Japan, US, or other countries, when wants to come and invest in India, they definitely look at this particular scenario. And if you see, from few years back, say 5-7 years back to till just till COVID, there is a tremendous rise in terms of filing of patent applications. So if it is 46,000 few years back, now it is 56,000. So if you see, close to 10-20% of increment. Now, very interestingly, if you look at the grant, so India was not considered as a really good place where intellectual property is respected. But these days, scenario is changing. So, a lot of examinations are happening at in the patent office, and if you look at the grant, it's actually now 4-fold compared to 5 years back. Now let us quickly look at what is happening with the top Japanese companies. So if I quickly look at the top Japanese companies and their Indian R&Ds and how Indian R&D is contributing to their Japanese patent filing, then interestingly, over a period of time for last 5-6 years, it's increasing almost for all these companies, Sony, Sumitomo, Suzuki Motor, Hitachi. All these patents are, I mean, all these innovations are actually done in India, and slowly they are creating a mark. So if you look at Sumitomo in 2016, there are 12 and now 43. So if we look at in terms of percentages or in terms of number of X growth, this is probably 3.5 times growth in last 5 years. And we very well believe that this is going to grow. So this is again the same thing, just to show the total number of patents that these inventors have filed in last 5 years in Japan. The research is happening in India and then filing the protection in Japan. So this is the data for that. And also looking at the Indian companies to go and file patents in Japan. You see, in 2016 it is 395 and now it is 586. Though this is a not a huge growth, or in terms of X, this is not even double, probably 0.5. But this is really encouraging that Indian companies, Indian inventors, Indian inventions, there is an aspiration to go protect those in Japan. So what is the tangible meaning of it? So tangible meaning of this is basically Indian companies are also exploring Japan as a market, and they are going to be more active in Japan in coming years. Now, coming to an end of all these discussions, and just to summarize, so all this data, when we churn up all this data, what I have realized is, as far as startup ecosystem is concerned, already a lot of things are happening, already a lot of investments are going. But we really have high quality manpower to do not only the areas, not only to cater fintech, edtech, and all those things. There are a lot of other things in Industry 5.0 which can cater to Industry 5.0 or society, Industry 4.0 or Society 5.0, and where India can definitely be a leader in providing the technological solutions. And I have listed down this 10 different areas, which includes industrial robotics, unmanned aerial vehicle, additive manufacturing, cybersecurity, cloud computing, artificial intelligence and machine learning, vaccines and other biotechnological interventions, energy storage, space research, food packaging. All these are the areas where we do not have any dirt and quality manpower. There are startups coming up, and definitely these will probably be the next areas where Japanese investors also will look at investing. And Indian entrepreneurs, if we see from the patenting trend and others, a lot of Indian entrepreneurs are going after Japanese market. So there will be, in near future, if you see these could be the emerging areas where you will have newer startups coming up, newer investments happening, newer collaborations happening, and Indian companies are going to the Japanese market to cater to Japan, and a lot of Japanese companies will come to India to partner with Indian companies in these areas to cater to not only India and also probably other areas. So with all this, my take is that now it is always a lot of collaborations are happening between India and Japan, but now it is time to collaborate and create the new age world. If you see what has changed in the last couple of years, first you see COVID, then you see Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine, then dollar devaluation, and also energy crisis in terms of fluctuation in oil prices. So all this geopolitical and economic uncertainty, one has to hedge its own potentials. And India and Japan collaborating in the new age innovation areas or new age technology areas will probably be able to dictate the new age world. So with this, I come to an end of my presentation. Thanking you all and looking forward to have questions from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abhishek-san. It was really informative again, and I believe this session would have given some ideas to those who are looking forward for the business opportunities in Japan and in India as well. So, we are open for question and answer session. It will be for 5 to 7 minutes probably. So if anybody has any question, please raise your hand, or you can also send it in the chat box. So till we get any question, I would like to ask a question to Mr. Nakajo. As Abhishek-san has mentioned that the collaboration we are having from Japan side to the universities are only for like IITs. But is there any possibility or is there any opportunities where other universities or other colleges will have opportunities to collaborate with Japanese companies?
Well, I can see exposure has to be done from the other universities. So IIT is now really popular amongst the Japanese society, and it has been featured by all the press people, influencers, and such. So that, but Japanese corporate people don't know how to access to these academic players. So they started with IIT, but as several chancellors and deans of IITs step in Japan and spoke to the many kind of stakeholders, prospective stakeholders, industry leaders and such, where the collaboration were made. So the same things may happen in the other academic players.
Thank you very much for your answer.
If I could give one comment to Mr. Chaudhary-san.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with kind of opinion and presentations. And one big aspect or say value for Indian startup ecosystem, value of Japanese company to Indian ecosystem is that Japanese companies do have global customers, and Japanese companies do have industrial technologies to carry the ideas or tech to the commercialized or industrial applications. Giving you idea or example that Finland is such a small company, but it is famous as one of the world ecosystem. But one of the reasons why they could grow is that there's several good tech companies like Nokia, Saab, and such. So these players could generate the startup players of this country, and they now could expose to the world global startup scene. So likewise, Indian multinational could generate Indian startups as their customers, and also Japanese company could do the same. And we are trying to materialize these ideas to the realistic real thing.
Yes, exactly. So in fact, this is happening in India also. If we look at Reliance Industries has its arm, which is known as GenX Ventures, and GenX Venture is there to scout and fund a lot of companies, startup companies, and taking them to the next stage. You know this Tata Venture, Tata Sons. It's a big name. They have Tata Capital, and Tata Capital has its venture arm, who is also doing the same thing. So yes, I mean this is definitely one approach, and a lot of people in Europe and US, they have done this. The large multinational corporates already incubating startups within them, and then taking it to the next stage. Yes, I agree. This is definitely, it's happening, and it should happen more and more.
Thank you very much. One more question I would like to ask, that now Japanese companies are really getting interest in Indian companies and trying to invest in Indian companies. But what the advice you would like to give for Indian companies who wants to invest in Japanese companies?
So who do you want to answer?
Both of you, if you can comment.
Okay, so Nakajo-san, please.
The question is how Japanese company. Could you repeat again?
Yes. So my question was, nowadays Japanese companies are investing in India and taking interest, but what if Indian companies wants to invest in Japanese companies? What kind of advice would you like to give?
Not really invest in Japanese companies, but it could be Indian. There's some industry who has a global competition power, like pharmaceuticals, chemicals, some in engineering, civil engineering. These are the companies who have global power, and I can give you a few two examples. One is Indian pharmaceutical company could invest in Japanese company and acquire Japanese pure molding technology. So Japan do have a state-of-art pure molding technology with complete sanitary situation. You can see the in US or in Europe or India, you have this big pills, which is really hard to take. For elderlies, it's really hard to take. But with the gel and all these applications in this aging society of Japan, there's so many applications of easing to take pills for say for infants or for the elderly people. So these facilities or these companies could be of use for Indian pharmaceuticals and the good areas for investment. The second case I am going to share is this is a real case, but around 7-8 years, Mahindra acquired a part of subsidiary of Mitsubishi Heavy Industry, creating manufacturing agriculture machine, small tractors. So Mahindra has got a global market with their tractor and agriculture machinery, but their applications, the machines are bigger in size. But if it goes to the small scale farmers, they need to have a small tractors, machineries. And this subsidiary of Mitsubishi Heavy, specialized only in this small scale, small sized machines, and they wanted to expose their activities in globally. So the interests meet from both sides, and the company was acquired by Mahindra. So this is the one of the case. So synergetic purpose must be there to make all these cases led to be successful.
Exactly, I totally agree. But just to add on this is, I believe Indian companies are also interested in acquiring companies outside of India, and Japan could also be a destination. It's just that if there is a platform already available where a lot of Japanese companies are showcasing their technologies, some sort of hackathons and other things that is happening in India, probably if similar things can be done in Japan, where Indian companies go, say, in the energy sector. Let's have Adani, people from Adani, Reliance, and other energy people come together, go to Japan, and have a couple of days of roundtable only to listen to a lot of Japanese startups and what they're doing in the energy sector. So similar kind of things can happen, and those exchanges will help in bridging this gap.
Thank you very much for the answer. So
If I could add, Jetro also
Yes.
has a wing of investment promotion to Japan. So any inquiries from the Indian companies for acquiring Japanese companies or setting up operations in Japan, welcome.
Yes, definitely. Yes. We would love to do that. We would love to facilitate some of those alongside Jetro, so that will be really good. If we find anyone interested from even our members or others, we'd love to connect them with you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. So, Mr. Steve Jobs has said once that innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. So, on behalf of the IJBC and from the audience, we thank you, Mr. Nakajo and Mr. Chaudhary, for sharing the information about the new opportunities, inspiring the audience. Thank you very much. Thanks to the whole IJBC team and KU University for organizing this lecture. Thanks to our sponsors, tutorbharat.com, Interjust India, Daiichi Japanese Language Solutions, Nagpur, Fujitsu Consulting India, Japan Center of Excellence, Guwahati, Fox Mandal. Thanks to our event partners, Shimbe Lab, NanoBees, Raven MR, Wab & Company, Ichiban Enterprises, Asian Community News, The Lingo, and KU University. Thanks for your all support. These events can happen only because of you. I once again to thanks everyone, especially the audience who has patiently listened to the presentations. 皆様お忙しいところ集まっていただきどうもありがとうございました。So after listening this today's presentation, I guess you would realize that we also need to know about the development perspectives. So our next session, the fourth session, highlights development challenges through governmental and non-governmental perspectives with the first-hand account of nearly 3 decades. The audience will be journeying through JICA's official development assistance corporation to India, such as urban railways in metropolitan cities, road connectivity in northeastern areas, water supply, environment improvement, and human resource development that has significantly contributed in strengthening the bilateral relationship between India and Japan. The experience of lessons through grassroots initiative and interaction, as well as voluntary actions in India, would give us an insight about India's new challenges, potentials, and innovations approaches that can help Japan to increase cooperation in India in the years to come. So speakers are Mr. Tomohide Ichiguchi, Deputy Director General, South Asia Department, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and Ms. Tomo Khawane, Senior Researcher, KU University, Independent Consultant for 25 years in Gujarat, Indian Affairs, Politics, Language, and Voluntary Sector. So for more details and register to this session, please visit our website www.ijbc.org. So till then, stay tuned and stay healthy. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you very much. Abhishek-san, Dinashri-san, thank you and very nice to meeting you. And please keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nakajo.